lot of highs and lows this year. You know, what were the highs that you'll reflect on this year?
You know, I would say, you know, overall, just how the team battled. You know, just that. Again, you get back from Maui, and you know, AK's not playing in the, you know, in the Baylor game at home, and the team is in a, you know, the team's not in a good space, and you know, being able to close out the non-conference, you know, winning at Texas, and then you know, playing well against Gonzaga there, and recovering, and then you know, being able to go on the road and win at Creighton and win at Marquette, like two tough places to go and win games. You know, obviously, you know, putting ourselves in position to, you know, if we just made a couple more shots there, I think, in, you know, having a chance to still be playing. You know, always be proud of, you know, the way the guys fought the whole year, but in particular when, you know, we got to the NCAA tournament.
Dan, you mentioned rewiring yourself a little bit this offseason. How's the first 3 days of that going?
Yeah, early stages of rewiring are going okay.
What does that process look like for you?
Yeah, you know, you just evaluate, obviously, you know, everything. You know, now you're going to have a lot more time, you know, because you're not going to be celebrating and throwing out pitches and doing things of that nature. You do have a lot more time to, you know, to work on your craft and to, you know, to be locked in on chasing something again. I think it's, you know, these last 3 years have felt like a long season, like one long season, really. The run that we've been on, and you get caught up in it. You get attached to it. You know, there's a, it's complicated, you know, it's complicated. And this year was, you know, it was challenging, you know, it was challenging in the end. You know, there's as desperately as you wanted to play and keep going with the team and going on a run, you know, it'll be nice to go back to hunting and not being hunted, you know.
I mean, was this even though it ended a little earlier than last year, was this season even more exhausting in some ways with all the little brush fires and all the?
Oh my God, kidding me? Had no idea this was coming.
Yeah.
You know, you have no idea. Everyone I talked to prepared me for it, and you know, and you try to prepare the team for it. You know, when you just the level of, you know, the level of success that we've had, right? It's like we were able to, in modern day college basketball, be able to have tied the best run any program's ever had in recent modern college basketball history. You know, while that was going on, you know, I obviously, you know, my style and everything that I bring to the table, you know, also created a tremendous amount of external, which, you know, probably affected the team at different times this year too. And certainly it had its effect on me. And you go into the off season, you know, I'm not obviously going to change much about the way I coach or the way I approach, you know, what I do as a coach. But there's certainly, you know, ways that I can, you know, learn from this year and get better, but not, you know, change the way I go about things as a coach, because it's been successful.
How about managing the roster? You made a comment on 60 Minutes. The portal's open, 50% of your players.
Yeah, that set off some another moment. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's amazing just how different it's gotten from year to year, and you know, how different it feels, you know, this year. So, but you got to be able to adapt. I think for us, being able to adapt to the new, you know, reality. You know, when we started our run, it was you know, the players weren't even asking you about NIL. I mean, it was development, it was culture. Those teams that we put together, you know, we didn't buy those teams. Those teams were they went through the fire together. They developed together. you know, it was a true championship team that developed together, the coaches and the players. So things are different. You know, things are things are different. But you know, our responsibility is to put together a championship team. You know, we got to put together a championship roster. You know, a championship level players and makeup, and you know, that's got to be your goal every year, because this is it's a year-to-year thing now.
With the time frame for Alex and for Liam, do you have one? Do they have one?
Yeah, you know, I think you know your people, and I think you're. I don't know what theirs is, but I think you know your people, and I know more than you. Or I know more than you. I know more than you guys. So
That's why we're asking.
I think you have an idea. I think overall, the people that really want to be here, you know, and then the people that that it makes sense for them to turn pro or to transfer. You know, and I think, like I've said, I think we've only been surprised one time since I've been here with the transfer that left.
Do you have an idea how many spots you're going to have? I mean,
Yeah, with the roster building, I mean, it's probably. I mean, I trust me. I wish I was still playing, but I can't imagine those coaches are dealing with the portal and potential roster building for next year. While we were in that position. So, but it's not like things are a little more intense right now. So, I think we're just that there's areas that we know. You know, we need to address, and we obviously we love we love the recruiting class. There's obviously players that you really value, that you value all the players and want them all to return, and but there's that's not reality. But you want to return to people that that you really need to stay. And then supplement in the portal. But we've got to put together a championship, team this year. I thought we could have gotten on a run. Obviously, that Florida game, which they won the game, and we missed the shots and they made the shots. I mean, those are three great officials on that game. So, although I said something in heat of the moment in an area of the arena that pretty much every game I've ever coached in college has been media free. Past the tunnel, by the locker rooms, in the hallway where the coaches go. I mean, that's for the combatants. That's for the competitors. That's not for camera phones. And so just relative to that, those are three great refs, and Florida earned it. And but it was, so I had to say that.
What kind of urgency do you feel like you need to operate with now as far as portal and making decisions go? Obviously, some guys are already committing places.
Yeah, not, I mean, I think for us, just the roster construction is it's a critical piece. Getting, we're always going to get the latest start, because we're not, we're not the school that's recruiting players off other people's teams while the season's going on. So yeah, I mean, we got to get the right type of players that we want to add to what we'll return and what we know we're bringing in. To fortify the areas that where we struggled this year. Obviously we struggled defensively. That was when we guarded at the end of the year in spots, we were a different team. But if you don't do it the whole year, you end up as an 8 seed playing the number 1 seed in the second round. So we got to get our type of guys with like with the makeup, the Joey Californias, the Naheem Alines, Cam Spencers, T. New. I mean, We've historically been really, really good with the transfers, so we take the right ones, and we got to make sure we do that. R.J. Cole, Tyrese Martin.
As you try to do that in kind of a changing landscape, how differently is your job with roster construction? Is it much more like economics and budget, like like much more of a pro model where you're
Yeah.
wondering who you could sign for how much money, who's worth how much money?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, go see what Tom Moore looks like. It's a different. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's that exact model with how you structure the roster, and without going into too much, without going into too much detail, it's become the NBA or the G League. If your college team is not functioning like an NBA front office right now, you're just swimming in it this time of year and you're completely lost.
Do you have any particular, it may be tough to know without knowing who's leaving, I guess, but any particular positional things you'll be looking for in the portal?
I probably don't want to, I mean, some of it's going to get affected by, who stays and who goes, and, I think that there's parts of how we played this year that, again, the defensive end was not good, and then, just the pace of play. I mean, like, we just, part of it was because we were a bad defensive team, so we weren't in transition. But just getting back to, being an elite defensive team that scores off its defense the way, we've been, and then, yeah.
Coach, I mean, you talked about the incoming freshman class, how great it's going to be, and bring them McDonald's All-Americans, McDonald's All-American game next week. Just your thoughts on how those guys have done throughout their final year of high school?
Yeah, I mean, those guys have had a great year. We're going to need them to be super mature. I think, credit Duke. I mean, they've been, probably, the one team that's been able to play that many freshmen and still, look like maybe the best team in the country. So these guys are going to have to come in mature, obviously ready to work. But they've got the attributes that, that the freshmen that have been able to come in and play for us, they have those.
Yeah, whether it's like the tunnel thing or the ref thing a few months ago,
Yeah.
you mentioned like the exhausting nature of
Yeah.
being analyzed and
Yeah,
criticized.
yeah.
Do you feel like you put yourself out there
Yeah,
like a
no.
pinata at the end?
Yeah, I did it. I mean, there was one last final act there on the way out. It's a microcosm of how it went for Maui. Just figure I'd close the show for everybody there. Hey, listen, it's tough for a person like me. It's my rocket fuel. It's my rocket fuel. It's what makes me successful. In large part, the intensity, the desire, the competitive fire. It's what attracts my players to me. It's what's been able to attract, success for me at this aspect as a coach, right? But at times, I've got to apologize to my wife and say, I'm sorry, I was embarrassing. I shouldn't have said that. And trust me, I've had these moments throughout my career. This is what UConn knew they were getting. This is how I've coached, obviously, my entire career. And I'm not bragging about that. I'm just surprised that people have just discovered it if they're college basketball experts. They could have been breaking me down the last couple of years, or even 5 years ago. Getting into it with fans or coaching my ass off. I've been doing this for a long time. So it's one of those things where, again, it's like there are mistakes. There are things I wish I didn't do. It's part of what you get with me. I hope to not do it again. I'm going to look to attempt to take measures, both internally, mentally, and externally, not a security team, but, you know, just being able to get me, I wouldn't change one aspect of how I coach a game or how hard we fight. You know, would I like to be able to get on and off the court without incident? You know, and then there's also the karma piece, you know. I got what I deserved. I shit-talked the fan at Creighton, and then they bounced me out of the Big East tournament semi. So I got my karma, you know, and other coaches get their karma too, you know, when they shit-talk other programs, fan bases, and then they find themselves getting it too.
And with all the success the last couple of years, all of this seems like it's been celebrated and criticized, right?
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that bother you, sadden you, frustrate you at all?
Well, I mean, they got to talk about something, and I don't know. You know, it's probably boring to talk about, or they just don't really understand basketball at a level where they could talk intelligently about how we've been as successful as we've been. You know, so I don't know if just the people that cover our sport don't know enough about basketball and why people win and why people lose and why people are champions and why they're not, where they are more comfortable talking about, you know, me with some of these things that in my mind are, I just don't know if they're like that huge of a deal. You know, it's just, you know, my players love playing for me. You know, I don't think I'm a bad guy. I'm not a victim because, yeah, I mean, I do stupid shit sometimes, but it's not like I'm like some like phony, fake cheater. You could talk more about people with those attributes than somebody that just maybe tells a fan that's been cursing them out the whole game, screw you. You know, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, but you know, you take account of it. And you don't want to become, I guess, a distraction for your team too, and bring more weight to your players. So those are all the things that, you know, you have to consider. But, you know, a large part of me is like, you know, anyone that gets criticized a lot, it's going to bother them some. Anyone that says, I can't hear the external, they're full of shit. But for me, I focus on we've just finished a run of doing something that only one other team's been able to do in modern college basketball history. That helps me get through the criticism, knowing that I was a part of that with some awesome men. And now we're about to attack having the same type of success moving forward. And I'm excited to be back on the chase and on the journey again. The destination wasn't that much fun because, yes, you do. When you reach the top, everyone's trying to knock you off, and you do become a target.
And a day after a devastating loss Sunday, most of your team was here Monday rooting on the women's team.
Yeah.
What does that say about the relationship between the teams and, for that matter, the coaching staffs?
Yeah, I mean, just the appreciation that we have for you know, Gino and their staff. You know, we help each other, we support each other, we share the building, we see each other all the time. We eat together. And Gino's helped me as much as anyone's helped me. So, and the players all enjoy each other. Company.
Jay, do you expect the staff to come back next year? Or
I think
where does
it's,
that stand?
yeah, you know, obviously both men are long overdue, you know, to have opportunities of their own to lead, you know, like high-level programs. Yeah, but we're, you know, fortunately, I'd say for UConn is you know, they've got such great jobs that it's gonna take a great job to get them to leave, which, you know, makes it tougher for them.
Coach, you're known for your toughness, but a number of times you showed your tenderness and kind of side. Can you just talk about what the players mean to you and that side of you, because it's not really talked a lot about?
Yeah, I'm all cried out. Yeah, I mean, you know, listen, if I don't go off the rails at the end there, after that 3-year run ended in an excruciating fashion in a game that we almost had to keep this thing going, if I don't have that, you know, that emotional outburst there, probably all people are talking about is the run we've had. is the amazing players. They're probably talking more about the post-game press conference where, to a man, our locker room was, it was tears and love and, just total connection. So I'm not crying though, so you could stop trying to get me to cry. It's starting to well up. But I'm cried out, man. I'm done.
Bobby had your back in that moment.
Yeah.
And, he's not here today, and he went viral for his response. I was just wondering if you could offer any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bobby, regrets, just like I regret, the moments I've had. It's obviously it's all my fault that Bobby got pulled into it. I set the whole thing in motion, and I feel horrible. Obviously, he could have handled, dealing with the media person with the phone, that took the video. He could have obviously just, let it go. He should have been better trained for a situation like this. We've been in them all year. So, but, Bobby's a soldier. I think he's we all fight like that for each other in our program, and sometimes, we go a little too far. But Bobby's a great guy, and I wish, just all the sad people that are sending him messages or emails, like really horrible people, really empty people. I can't imagine what your life would be like if you have the time to look people up and comment on their picture, go back and email and direct message such vicious, it's whether you're using your real name or a fake account, I just can't imagine. There's just the sadness of those people, and how empty their lives are, and how sad their pursuits are, that they're doing that to him. But I did that to Bobby, and but Bobby's a good person.
Yeah,
Coach.
apart from you guys, are you surprised that there's not a Big East team playing the second weekend?
Well, I think it all comes down to quad one, quad two, it comes down to seeding. Obviously, St. John's had a 2 seed, so they had a strong seed, but the tournament's harder when you have a 7 seed and 8 seed. I think us and Creighton played well enough to have gotten to a second weekend if we were playing anyone but a 1 seed, or maybe even some of the 2s as well. So we obviously, the league overall, we can't be playing quad 3 and quad 4 games and expect to get great seeds and get 7 or 8 teams in. We play, you need to be playing quad 1 games and quad 2 games only. Obviously we had some losses this year, both in league. I mean, look at us, we went 12 in the net in the non-conference, I think. I'm pretty sure that it was something like 12, and Marquette was 8. And we went 14-6, and they went 13-7, and our net dropped 20 spots plus, going 14-6 in a really good basketball league. So, I think the league is only going to get stronger. Obviously, losing Sean. Sean's one of the best coaches in the country, but adding Richard. Now I got 2 Patinos.
Coach, have you talked to
I got to get my brother in the league.
Okay. Of course, over the past couple of years, Alex has been a major part of everything you've done.
Careful what you
for the
ask for.
championship. He's been a major part of everything you've done with winning the back-to-back championships, and of course, even this year's team, he obviously played an integral role. I was wondering, have you had any conversations with him since the Florida game regarding, the
Yeah.
season, the run, or even his future?
Yeah, I would say initial conversation I have with all the players are, just going through the season, just kind of talking through the whole experience, and then, I think just some of the, these guys all fit into different buckets. I think some of these guys, and they're, have an easy decision, based on NBA or should I leave. Some of them have no-brainers to stay, and some of them, have harder choices to make. And You know, Alex, Alex has accomplished, everything you can in college and more with what he's been able to do. I mean, no one wins one national championship. He won 2 in a row, and then he came back with honor, to try to get a third, and he fought and led and was awesome. It's a life choice for him at this point. NIL has made it for these kids where they. Unless you're going to be a lottery pick or, you got to do the first round thing and it's a great spot for you. Now, it's a tougher decision for these kids, that are end the first round into the second round on what do I do? I think it's more complex, that way. But, Alex is a smart kid. We're leaving him alone. I mean, we've had one conversation. I think the best thing you could do when you have to make big decisions is you talk to very few smart people. Like, I don't take advice on how I should coach moving forward as a coach from people that that have never coached. So Alex has just got to be smart. That he gets advice from smart people.
And is this follow up? Is this like a perspective that you got from the summer when obviously you got offered the Lakers job, that you held that same mindset you said over the summer?
I just don't want to bring that up. I don't want any more messages from them. In particular, they've been brutal this year.